It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. But before we begin, big shout out to our friend Stephen Skelly, who, man, he did the thing. He got in the cage. I don't know the outcome yet, but he told me about his upcoming fight. I guess it took place this weekend, and win or lose, man, he got out there and trained. He did the thing, and proud of you, man. Let me know how it went in the comments down below. And if there's a video, please link me to it. We have a question from M5A1 Stewart who says, what do you think about the next food shortage? Do we need to stack more food for the next few years? Man, everybody should have a food storage, man. Everybody. I don't know about this food shortage thing. Everybody keeps talking about a worldwide food shortage that is coming up, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. Maybe it will affect people in your country more than another country. If you live in the US, it definitely won't hit you as bad and as people in third world countries, I'm sure. But you should always have a food storage. Always. Man, if the only food you have available to you is what's going to last you for that day, and then anything happens, anything. I mean, maybe you get sick and you can't go to work, or you get fired, or I don't know, a pandemic breaks out and they lock down your entire city for 2 months straight, or 3 months, for an indefinite period of time, with no option to buy food, as was the case here in Shanghai. Man, if it wasn't for food storage, my family would have starved. If you don't know the Shanghai lockdown situation, we've been locked down. I know that word's been thrown around pretty flippantly in the past few years, because people say they've been locked down, and what that really means is just non-essential businesses were closed to some extent in their cities, but otherwise life went on as normal. By lockdown, I mean we're literally locked in our apartments here in this city, and nobody can leave, nobody can go anywhere, everything's closed, the city is shut down, everything's shut down to an alarming degree, meaning you can't buy food. Now, the situation has changed a little bit. Some people 2 months later are able to get food, if they're affluent, if they have money, if they're willing to pay marked up prices, if they know a guy who knows a guy. But once again, the poor are always getting the short end of the stick. So you should definitely have at least a month of food storage on you at all times, man. Because if you don't, there's something wrong there. And it's not that hard to store food. I mean, a bag of rice doesn't take up a lot of space. It's pretty simple to prepare. Water, too, that's another thing. A lot of people don't think about storing water. You should. If you have the space for it, you should definitely store water. Here in Shanghai, it's an absolute necessity, because Shanghai tap water is not potable water. You can't drink it. It's filled with high concentrations of heavy metals, such as lead, that water filters just don't get out. You have to use reverse osmosis or a water distillery to get heavy metals out, and the average person doesn't have access to that sort of expensive equipment. So water generally comes bottled. So, where do you live? It doesn't matter where you live. Get yourself some food storage. Another problem a lot of people make with food storage is they buy a bunch of stuff with a very long shelf life that they're never going to eat and never going to prepare, and then it just rots. It's a pretty good idea to have a storable food rotation. So you always have like a month's supply of non-perishable items on hand, at least a month's supply, but you're rotating through it and then replenishing that so that, 2 years later it doesn't expire. Or you end up eating stale crackers or cans of botulism. Yeah, you don't want that. So rotate your food storage. Anyway, is a food shortage coming? There is a food shortage somewhere all the time. At all times on this planet, at least 10% of the people, of the humans on this planet, are quite literally starving to death. About 1/3 of the people on this planet are underfed. Then we have, about 1/3 of the people who are overfed, and then we have the rest of the people which are walking a very delicate balance of just barely enough. So most humans on this planet are not actually doing that well as far as food goes. It's hard to believe that when you live in a country with an obesity problem, isn't it? But man, step outside of the Western world once in a while, and the reality of hunger in this world is shocking. It's absolutely shocking. There really is no good reason for it to exist now, but it does. So do you need to stack more food? Yeah, man, yeah. Protect yourself at all times. You can live for about 30 seconds without oxygen going to your brain. You can live for about a month without food. You can live for a week or two without water, depending on how much you sweat. That's not a long time, man. Take care of the air around us. Don't pollute it. Make sure you have a constant, ready, available source of clean drinking water. And if you're not stockpiling at least enough food to get by for a meaningful amount of time, what are you doing with your life, man? I've been called a prepper. My family's been called a prepper. My entire religion has been called preppers because there have been constant messages from the leaders of my church: store food, have a food storage. And when I was a kid, the common adage was 7 years of food storage, and then 2 years of food storage, and now it's a much more conservative month or two of food storage. But you should have at least some food storage. It might not be an international crisis. It might not be another pandemic. But something will happen in your life where you will end up on the wrong side of hunger. Prepare yourself for that. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.